name is Margaret Schwab. I go to Texas A&M University, and I did the CIS Abroad Summer in Barcelona program.
Why did you choose CIS abroad?
Growing up, being from Texas, I spoke a lot of Spanish. I've taken a lot of Spanish classes, and so I naturally was drawn towards a Spanish-speaking country. Outside of that, I was also very interested in the history behind Catalonia, and so those two factors were a really big draw into why I chose my program in Barcelona.
Can you give some tips on surviving the first 2 weeks on site?
I would say the biggest tip I have is go to as many events as you can that CIS provides, just because you're going to be with those people for either a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year. You want to get to know them. And it's also provided in your program, and they're great excursions, so why not go on them? As well as set up a food plan. I think a lot of people struggle with that and like figuring out how you're going to eat. You're not really getting McDonald's every day. So figure out how you're going to eat, what meals you're going to do at school, outside of school, stuff like that.
What was your favorite class and why?
My favorite class was the Spanish civilizations class I took. It kind of goes over the history of Barcelona and Catalonia in a new way. I also didn't know any of the history, so kind of going into that blind. But we looked at the aspects of art and culture as well as like the factual history and all the dates and stuff. And so I loved it. It was such a fun class.
How are your classes compared to classes in the US?
My major in the US is biology. And so taking these cultural classes towards my minor in my university was definitely a lot easier than biochemistry and anatomy and physiology. And not just that, I think that the pace of these ones is also a lot easier. They're a lot more forgiving, at least for the Spanish kind of universities as a whole.
Can you tell us more about your housing and commute to school?
So I lived in a neighborhood called Pobleno, and I was in a living kind of complex called the Social Hub. It's a student living as well as a hotel, as well as kind of this group center where people can host meetings and stuff. It's this awesome spot in Barcelona. It's really the coolest place ever. And so I had a solo student apartment, which was nice to get to come back to my own room at the end of the day. That was fabulous. And then the commute, at least to my university, UAB, or as I said, Universitat Autonoma de Barcelona, looked at about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. It kind of depends. Public transport is huge in Spain, and so we would take the uh, subway every day or their train system. But while I was there, they actually canceled our line because they were doing construction on it. So then that kind of like figuring that out and navigating that. So it was anywhere from like 30 to 40 minutes a day. But typically, like we'd just study on the train because it was a direct train ride. So it wasn't too bad. It was always nice in the mornings to walk too.
What was your favorite excursion?
So my favorite excursion that CIS did was the Freshenet tour. And then when we did the day in Sitges, the little beach town kind of outside of Barcelona, that was just so much fun. The winery tour was really interesting. They gave us free cava. Can't really complain about that. And it was gorgeous there. And then the beach there was so pretty. It was just the most stunning beach I had been to. And all the beach town restaurants and stuff were really fun to go to. So I loved that tour. It was very relaxing. It wasn't like a super highly paced kind of excursion like some of the other ones. And so I loved just the vibes. I mean, free wine and a beach day. I think there's nothing you could beat with that.
How did your on-site director impact your time abroad?
My onsite director was Nicole. Uh, she is the absolute best. She was also doing her master's program actually while we were there, and she graduated while we were there, which is so exciting. But yeah, she was amazing. She was so good at accommodating for all of us and constantly checking in, but also giving us space like when we needed it. Um, yeah, she just made all the trips and stuff so much fun. Uh, so miss her. She texts us occasionally, but yeah.
Can you share tips on transitioning from being on site to coming back home?
The first thing I did when I came back home after I slept for like 20 hours was go to my favorite restaurants that I miss. Um, Spain is not the biggest on spicy foods, and I'm from Texas. We love spice, and so the first thing I did when I got home was go to my favorite taco place, because that was just such a reset for me. Um, but also the biggest tip I have, whether you're leaving or coming back, is adjust to the time zone as soon as possible. I love sleeping, so I slept on the plane there and I had no jet lag. Coming back, I just stayed up for 30 hours and then fell asleep immediately on the time zone. Also had no jet lag. So that is my biggest tip, no matter where you're going.
What surprised you about your time abroad?
I would say the biggest surprise was the interactions with new people. It wasn't so much, I guess I knew going to my program, I didn't know anyone. And so meeting all those people was awesome. I've made lifelong friends through that are all over the United States, which is really fun. Some of which are here, and I actually ran into one of them the other day. But also meeting people from all over the world was a lot of fun. I met a lot of people from the UK, met some people from Australia. There was tons of people from Australia in Europe this summer, which they were really fun to interact with and like trade socials and stuff. And so kind of having those international friends now is something that I didn't expect to happen, but I'm so happy it did.